I'm not quite sure how to do this. I'm quite looking forward to it though. Do I start?
You just
Because I was thinking,
pull the pin and throw the grenade, mate.
but do I start with the apology and then show what he was apologizing for, or do I start with what he said and then play the apology?
Oh, I think I know what this is. I'm using my context clues. Are we talking about Oliver again? Yeah. Oh yes, this is a spicy one.
Now, let me say one thing before we start. I put a tweet out today with the comments that Sean Plunket made earlier this week, which he's had to apologise profusely for because it split the right. And there was a couple of people who went, "Are you really sure you should be putting this out there? Is this going to do more harm than good?" I acknowledge those people and those thoughts. No one actually told me it would, but I acknowledge it because what you're about to hear when it comes to, I guess you'd call it ableism or just basically revolting. If you're listening to the audio podcast, I'm doing the biggest air quotes the world has ever seen and saying the word joke, like the air quotes are the height of the Empire State Building, that he thinks is a joke, is one of the most repulsive things I've ever heard. Like, honestly, and I'm giving you fair warning. And so what I don't want to have is people go, "Oh, that came out of the blue and you played that and I was offended." And if you're sensitive to being offended by someone shitting on disabled people, especially disabled children, maybe we'll see you on Tuesday, right? Fair warning. You might think that's a bit dramatic, but I'll give you a hint up. The first response, I heard someone said something like, "I hadn't paid much attention to this, or I didn't think it was that bad until I heard it." So, people have been saying it's that revolting. I think that's enough of a preamble to kind of go, if it's not you, then go away. Love you, but go away. All right. I think we'll start with the comment. Okay, let's start with the comment. So this is Oliver Karen on a show earlier this week, referring to. I'll just play it, shall I? I'll just play it, and you'll get it. Here we go. This is the comment he made. Fair warning.
Bloody iwi ticket clippers this morning, and now I'm thinking maybe I'm not. Maybe my heart's warming to the little flipper guys. The Maui's one up off the west coast, though. They are like the Down syndrome kids of marine mammals. They're crossbred. Ooh. And they deserve to die. Not Downs people. Don't start that. I'll be in big trouble.
They're crossbred. They're the Down syndrome children of the marine world, and they deserve to die. I told you. I warned you. I can see your face, Chewy. I gave fair warning because it's very clear that some people have connected the "and they deserve to die" to this part of the statement about the Downs children. So I told you it was bad. Like I told you it was bad. But Chewy, you haven't heard that before, obviously. Your first reaction?
I've seen it written. It hits different when you hear it.
Yeah.
And when you realize that he knew what he just said.
Yeah.
What an idiot!
Look at
what
the
an
chat.
asshole!
Look at the chat. The fuck. What did I just hear? What the fuck? Fucking hell. Mask off. That's a very good point. It needs to be cancelled and banned. And then someone sounds like AI. I don't think so. In fact, there are those people who are coming out and defending them, and you'll be surprised. This was on my Twitter feed, this one from obviously a fake account, but there wasn't a lot of defense, but the defense that there was went straight to, guess what? The anti-vaxxer movement. Get over it, Pat. Was a bad joke, a really bad one, but shit happens. He doesn't mean it. I'm sure you were one of the ones telling the unvaxxed they should die. That's where his defense comes from.
Well, no.
That's where his defense comes from.
That never happened.
No, never happened. So that was what actually happened. I'll tell you what happened in my week. I saw the video because, unfortunately, because I do this for you lovely people, his videos pop up in my algorithms because occasionally, because I research them and now they do. And I saw this video pop up, and I'll show you what it is before I play it. This video pop up here. Sean Plunket apologizes for comments made on Monday morning's breakfast show. And I thought, oh, what's that all about? And so I played it. I didn't know what the context was. And he starts off by talking about a group of people that have been having a crack at him. And I, part of me was kind of going, is he talking about us? It's not us because we didn't know about this.
Oh.
But at the very start of this apology we're about to play, there's another question about this, Chewy. Because he's apologised, is all forgiven? That's another question to ask as well, because that's what we tell people to do. We tell them to apologise and show contrition, do we? However, at the start of his apology, he blamed a, quote, pile-on cyber attack for one of the reasons of having to do the apology. Should we just play it?
He got hacked. He got Facebook hacked.
No. He was saying a pile-on cyber attack, meaning people were attacking him online. And it sounds to me like he's saying, because of all the people attacking me online, I have to do this. So it sounded to me like, now I want to be corrected if I'm wrong, it sounded to me like he was apologising because of the attack, not because of the words he said. Let's have a listen to the apology.
I'm going to start with an apology. An apology largely in response to, unfortunately, I think...
Largely. So a good portion of this apology is largely in response to...
a kind of pile-on cyber attack by some people who don't get on with me, some people who might imagine they're competitors.
You see how at one stage I was thinking, what have we done? What have we done? What have we done? So the apology is largely because of people who don't like him piling on, right? So it's not largely because I said a fucked up thing. He said it's largely because these people, who we'll tell you about them shortly, piled on.
Of the platform. Foremost amongst them, a gutter snipe, self-styled journalist who...
Still wasn't clear if it was us or not.
...is a buffoon and a bully into dirty politics. I'm not even going to bother with his name. But...
Cameron Slater, that's his name. I'll just put it out there. It's Cameron Slater.
Oh, Cameron Slater!
They leapt with glee, these people.
Wow. Okay.
Upon some comments I made when discussing the Hectors and Dolphins, and in particular Maui Dolphins, around the Sail GP on Monday. And during my discourse on that, I made comparisons with these dolphins due to their strange genetic makeup to a group of vulnerable New Zealanders.
He even said their strange genetic makeup. It's like, do you understand digging a hole? Like so you're just saying because these kids have a strange genetic, do you think that's not possibly offensive to like the parent of a kid with Downs? You're going to keep digging?
He can't even do an apology. Like he's stumbling around. I'm going to have to apologise because I was ganged up on and by horrible people, and people have been taking my words out. Sorry if you were offended. Fucking Jesus Christ, man! Just say your mouth ran away with your brain. You said something dumb. You're a big dummy. And you continue repeating that for 30 minutes, and we'll call it quits.
100 lines saying I'm a big dummy.
And that may have been taken not in the humorous way I intended it. And actually,
so it's your fault for being offended. It's your fault for being offended. It was a joke and you got offended. It might have been taken in a way it wasn't your fault. Your fault.
Looking back, I'm going to be honest, it wasn't that funny. And using
really fucking true thing you've said your whole life, mate.
A group of people who face unique challenges to make a joke isn't actually very cool. So I'm just going to take that on the chin.
Not very.
It was a dumb thing to do, and it was insensitive.
No, it's not very cool, man.
What a deeply uncool thing to do, Sean.
And I seem to have upset. Well, I haven't genuinely upset some. Some of it's trolling. But I have had a couple of messages from people who are genuinely upset on behalf of themselves and those they care for and those they live with and their community. And
so what happened, I can remember a complaint being made to Sean Plunket. I can remember it being quite a big thing he did on here. And it might have even been Suze Wilson made a complaint. And they made a big, massive thing about, we don't care if we offend people, and let's put it in the, we'll file it away in the department for our complaints, and they threw it in the bin. They've made such a big, look at me, big, tough white man, I don't need to apologise. What I say is what I mean. And all of a sudden, it's all changed. Now, why is it changed? I mean, I struggle to believe within this apology that it's genuine, because he's not apologising. He's blaming every other person and kind of going, but They made too much of us, but I did contribute somewhat to the words coming out of my mouth. What's to do? And I think I wonder if it's got something to do with now this is completely conjecture. Something to do with funders, something to do with advertisers. Remember, he got very angry at Magic, who bowed to the advertisers when he lost his job. That's what he claimed, at least anyway. Because if it's one or two complaints, the amount of flagellation, if that's the right word, when you hit yourself with a thing, that he's putting himself through sort of at the moment doesn't seem quite right. There's something more to this. There's something else going on here. I'm not sure what it is, but this is more than just one or two people were upset with me that I trust. It's more than that. We'll just get to the end of this. I'm sorry to drag it out.
That is the Downs community. And I did not intend, though I absolutely accept I did cause harm and distress. It may not have been my intention. That was certainly the outcome, and it was insensitive of me. And I will not do it again. And I am sincerely sorry for any distress I might have caused. If you are dealing with rare challenges like that in your life or someone else's life, you hardly need a smart-ass shock jock.
Shock jock.
Basically making things more difficult for you or increasing the possibility of prejudice against you.
Okay, Howard Stern.
And I am sincerely sorry if I did so. Please accept my apologies.
There you go. So I mean, look,
as it was,
but let's give him something. All right, the last 30 seconds is how it's all he should have said. Those last 30 seconds should have been all of it. He used the word sincere, he apologized, yada yada yada. But he spent so much time talking about the cyber pylon, people attacking, trolls, blaming everybody else, and then he spent 30 seconds going, yeah, I was wrong. I'm sorry. So here's a question though, right? And this is a genuine question. He's apologized. Is all forgiven? Because that's what we normally say, apologize. But
well, we had an off-air conversation about him apologizing for something the other week, right? And that was fair enough. He used the term pogrom.
Oh yeah. That was fair enough. I mean, you hadn't heard the apology. And I shared I said he'd made an apology, and that sounded, he was like, I didn't realize the full context. I apologize. And he moved on. Yeah, no, that's a fair point. That felt genuine. That felt acceptable. This feels like scapegoating other people for blaming me for just being, and I mean, it does piss me off when people who aren't comedians or who don't work in comedy think that they can do jokes. Like I listened to a podcast called Your Mama's House with Tom Segura and Christina P., husband and wife. And Tom is a raw comedian. I listened to one today where he was talking about, he just makes they're misogynistic jokes sometimes, they're ugly jokes sometimes, but with the context of relationship with him, and what the comedy he does, and him and his friend Bert Kreischer bought a house for Habitat for Humanity last week. In the middle of their podcast, they bought a whole house. So you can see his heart, and you get a better understanding of what his whole picture is. He's now calling himself a shock jock. What the fuck is that all about? Some person who goes, it was a joke, like they've got the ability to, kind of Dave Chappelle something, or to, Hannah Gadsby something. It's a cop out.
If your apology has to have a 10-minute preamble, about how dark forces are allied against you, and all of this sort of bullshit, and carry on, and there's all of these reasons and all of these excuses and all of that, it's not an apology. Just fucking walk away. I'm sorry if you're offended. I've had someone do a formal apology to me and say, I'm sorry you were offended, and I went, cool, so everything else you said is garbage. The one thing that you said there wiped it all out. Try again.
No.
And you're right. The last 30 seconds, that was an apology. The actual apology was much shorter than the other shit. Also, can we just talk about Sean railing against two things that people absolutely fucking love? A tiny, cute dolphin and Down syndrome people. The chat's going off, people going, I fucking love Down syndrome people. They're always happy. It's true. Why would you go? And to draw a straight line between this dolphin's inbred and fucked up and should be killed, just like Down syndrome people, is that's wow.
Oliver was
Tune
calling
in
for
next week
sponsorship
for the next eugenic idea from the platform.
of Hurricanes Wahine tour to be withdrawn for their haka. Maybe his sponsors have been in his ear. Maybe so. Now, there's one last part of the story. Actually, I don't want to drag it out too long, so let's just get towards the end of it. And that is not that screen. Sheesh. Or that screen. I think it's that screen. There we go.
Ooh,
Nasty argument over Down syndrome dolphin comment. And tells the whole story. And there's a group of tweets here. And it features Cameron Slater and Sean Plunket. Cameron Slater. 4 days after World Down Syndrome Day 2, the man is a pig. Sean Plunket, I can understand why you are particularly upset by this. Cameron Slater, keep digging, Sean. I have a handicapped relative, but you just keep on digging. Sean Plunket, I heard both your parents and that were first cousins as well, which would explain a lot. Cam Slater, are you back on the sauce? Put the cap back on the bottle, put the bottle back in the cupboard, and go have a lie down and sleep it off. You might make it into work on time. Sean Plunket, what was that dolphin boy? Cam Slater, so let's be straight. You compare Maui dolphins to Down syndrome kids, say that they should be killed, cop negative pushback, then you issue an apology that you prefaced with an attack on me and others, essentially saying you are only sorry because you got busted. Then after that, after you do the apology, and the thing cuts off there. And there are other people, I actually, full disclosure, I know Cameron from a former life. I actually messaged him and asked him where the original audio was, and he pointed me to where it was so we could play it tonight. And that was on another kind of right-wing, MAGA yay site. So this is what it seems. When you find the line, it feels like finally he's found a line where some of his colleagues, and I say colleagues meaning in the same part of the world, said, enough is enough. You pack of pancake batter. I always get that quite wrong, what you call them, but something like that. And so there's a scrap.
We're talking about
going on.
Oliver being the discarded skin of custard.
Something like that.